The news cycle on President Donald Trump is constantly changing. But there's one story that continues to plague the most powerful man in the world, and that's the Mueller investigation. And unfortunately for the president, the special counsel doesn't accept hush money. Over this most recent cycle, Michael Cohen, Trump's personal lawyer, was sentenced to 3 years in prison for fraud, perjury, tax evasion, and campaign finance violations. Of course, this developing story enabled news outlets to go back and re-examine the hush money payments that were made to women that Donald Trump allegedly had affairs with. And judging by the way he handled it when first asked about it, he's probably not too happy to see it come back in the headlines.
Did you know about the $130,000 payment to Stormy Daniels? Then why?
At this point, whether Trump slept with these women or not is an irrelevant question. The fact of the matter is that Michael Cohen paid to have Stormy Daniels and Karen McDougal's story suppressed instead of being transparent to the American people, especially right before the 2016 elections. I think people deserve to know about Donald Trump's alleged affairs more than they deserve not to know about them. I mean, just like Senator Joe Biden said,
"We're big boys. I knew when I ran for president everything was free game. It's not Boy Scouts, it's not Cub Scouts. In the case of the president, it's for the right to be leader of the free world, and no one ever said it would be easy. And whoever goes in the Supreme Court is going to determine the fate of this country more than anybody. For the next 20 years, we're going to have people, scrupulous and unscrupulous, respond and react."
Though Biden is obviously speaking on the case of Anita Hill and Clarence Thomas, I think he's right that everything should be free game when it comes to choosing the leaders of our country. So when presidential candidates attempt to buy themselves out of that provision, they are purposely deceiving their voters and preventing them from coming to their own conclusions. But the bigger question still remains. Did the president break any campaign finance laws?
For example, if you were going to do something anyway, irrespective of you being a federal candidate for office, it's not a campaign expense, it's a personal expense.
Counselor to the president, Kellyanne Conway, argues that the president would have made the payments regardless of his campaign. But we all know that Daniels and McDougal came forward as a direct result of the campaign. So let's move on to a more credible defense posed by the president's attorney, Rudy Giuliani. Now see, what Giuliani's arguing is that Michael Cohen set off on his own because he thought it was in Trump's best interest to silence these women. Then he came back and told Trump about it, which is why Giuliani argues that the tape of Cohen telling Trump about the payments proves that Trump was told about it, rather than him personally directing Cohen to make the payments.
He said on those tape-recorded conversations that he did it on his own to start, and then he brought it to the president, and then the president reimbursed him. Clear as a bell, under oath, must have said it 10 times.
The tape in question was a conversation that Cohen recorded between himself and Trump in late 2016.
I'm all over that. And I spoke to Alan about it when it comes time for the financing, which will be...
Listen, what financing?
We'll have to pay you. So
Don't pay for cash.
No. I got... No.
We also found out from the tape that the president is strictly a Coke guy.
Give me your Coke, please.
It's not Boy Scouts, it's not Cub Scouts.
But here's what's breaking Rudy Giuliani's defense. Why would Michael Cohen set off on his own if he wasn't fiercely loyal to the president?
This is a guy who stood up in court and said, I was fiercely loyal to Donald Trump. That's why I did it. I was fiercely loyal to him. No, he wasn't. He was taping him surreptitiously, lying to him, his client. That's outrageous.
At the end of the day, it's not the news that determines whether Trump is guilty of campaign finance fraud. All we can do as media is bring on experts and witnesses, then speculate. The only people who have the power to decide whether Trump did something illegal are the Southern District of New York prosecutors and Robert Mueller.